everyone, my name is Allie and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be podcast episode 2. So for this week I have a couple of things to talk about. I have 2 work in progresses that I'm really excited to share. I do have a finished object. It is the same finished object that I briefly talked about last podcast episode, but since it's a test crochet project, the deadline has been pushed forward some, so I can't talk about it just yet, but I did tease it over on my Instagram in a reel if you want to check it out there. But next week, next podcast, I should be able to talk about it because it is going to be released on February 1st. So by the time the next podcast comes out, I think I should be able to fully talk about it. But I'm really excited. I felt like ever since I've been on like my knitting journey, I haven't crocheted in a while, or at least nothing wearable. I've crocheted a couple bags and some like tapestries and things, but this is my first crochet wearable in a little bit of time. So I'm excited to share that. But for now, let's get into my 2 work in progresses that I have. So my 2 work in progresses are the 2 of the things that I talked about in the last podcast episode. I'm pretty proud of myself. I stuck to what I had already had planned and what I already had going, and I'm really happy with the progress. So the first thing I want to talk about is my October sweater, which I shared last podcast. I had just started either the day before I recorded that or even that morning, I think. I don't remember what I said, but I had just started. I just connected the back and the front together. The way you make the October sweater is you cast on as if you were going to make like a cardigan with like an open front, but then you kind of work fake short rows, I'm gonna call it, because it's basically building that basically building the length in the back of the neck that you would if you were doing short rows, but you're not doing short rows, you're just kind of working it separately. So I really like that construction because I don't mind short rows, but I feel like I don't exactly do them the best. So I enjoyed this method a lot more. My cat is joining here on the side. Here she is. She wants to be part of the video. Anyway, so I really enjoy that method a lot because while I don't mind short rows, I think this way just works a lot better for me. So I've made some pretty significant progress. I am kind of prioritizing this project mainly because it is a sweater and it's still cold here and I would like to wear it this season. So I'm kind of trying to keep that as my main project. So I have made a lot of progress on it. So let me show you. This is the front. Kind of hard. My cable is not long enough to show it. Ta-da! So since last time, I obviously have made a lot of progress. Like I said, I finished all the raglan increases and split for the sleeves. I actually just did that the other day, which was really exciting because since this is supposed to be oversized, I think it's supposed to have 11 to 13 inches maybe, or quite a lot of positive ease. There were a lot of stitches. When I not cast off, but split for the sleeves, I had, I think, 404 stitches and working in the round, so it was getting a little much to work with. I am making the size extra small. I am normally a small, but since I didn't want it so oversized, I took Petite Knit's advice that is written in the pattern to size down if you want it to be a bit of a smaller fit. I say smaller, but it still has quite a lot of positive ease. But so I'm really happy with it. This is the front, and I really like how much of the front is, how much of a difference the back is, thanks to those like fake short rows that I have in the back. And I also did the collar. I decided to put on the collar. I've seen a lot of people do that because in the pattern it calls to do the collar last, but I've seen a lot of people go ahead and pick up stitches and do the collar before they finish, and I really wanted to see how it would look, especially because without the collar it is kind of really hard to visualize this sweater. So I decided to pick that up, and I just finished that yesterday, and I'm super happy with it. I think it looks really good. You can see here in the front, these are some of the increases that we did before we connect it in the round. So that, I really like that little detail there. As for the sweater, I know last time that I was talking about it, I was kind of really unsure about the color. And I have to say, the more that I have worked on this, the more I have come to love the color. For the first, like, I would say for the first week of me working on this sweater, I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure, because I felt like every single time I would like put it down, it would look a completely different color. Like sometimes I would put it down and it would look really purple, and then other times I would put it down and look more of that dark brown that I was like craving for, and then other times it looked quite gray. But the more that I work on it, I think it's kind of picking it up on camera. It's quite bright in here today, so it looks a little bit more washed out than it actually is. I have a better picture over on my Instagram that I just posted yesterday. But the more I work it, the more I'm like, this is the color that I want. I like it. It's definitely a little bit lighter than I had anticipated it being, but I think it's still gonna work out. And I also recently bought a skirt, a really cute pink like plaid school skirt that I had bought for spring, and one of the like contrast colors is like literally this color, so I am so excited to get to wear this with that. That is the plan. I hope to wear it when it gets a little bit nicer out to wear it. It was kind of nice yesterday and the day before, but it was raining, so not that I could have worn this because it's not done. But I've really come to enjoy this sweater. The construction is really easy. Knitting it is super easy. It's a pretty standard raglan, just a bit more oversized. And then once I get to the ribbing, it'll have the 2x2 split hem ribbing, which I cannot wait to. But speaking of that, I am a bit worried that I'm not going to have enough yarn. Speaking now, at this point here, which is, you know, not too much. It's kind of just at my waist, I would say, maybe a little bit above my waist or at the bottom of my rib cage. I have 3 full balls of yarn, and then I have this that is connected to it, and then I have pretty much a similar size half ball that I use to pick up the collar for and do the collar. So I'm a little bit worried that I'm not gonna have enough yarn. According to the yardage, I should be okay, but again, I'm a little bit worried, but I'm gonna ride it out and use up all the yarn and see where I get. If I am obviously like only on one sleeve and I have one skein left of yarn, I think it's probably safe to say I'm going to run out, but I got this as a Christmas gift, and I am worried that if I try to find more drops of this color, that one is not going to be the same dye lot, which is extremely possible, and two, that, well, I guess that's really the main issue, that it's not going to be the same dye lot. And that really worries me. So we'll see what, I'll have to see how far I get. I don't want to order yarn yet because I have thought I was going to run out of yarn a couple times now for sweaters and garments, and I have gone and ordered more yarn to be on, on the safe side, and I ended up not needing that yarn, and so now I have a bit more in stash than I had originally wanted to have. So I'm gonna try not to order any more yarn out of like precaution, because I'm not really gonna be able to find much to make out of, potentially 1 or 2 skeins of this. So I'm gonna trust the process. I'm gonna trust the knitting process and knitting gods that I will not have to buy more yarn. And if I need to buy more yarn, then I am going to have to cross my fingers and pray to drops that they send me a similar dye lot color and I won't have any dye lot issues. So that is the update on my October cardigan, oh, October sweater, sorry. Here is the progress again. I really, really like it. I think it's going to be the perfect fit that I was imagining. I wanted it slightly oversized, but not too oversized. I want it to be able to wear with like skirts and shorts coming up in the summer, not the summer, the spring time, as we kind of transition from winter to spring, but it's not hot enough yet where I would just wear like a t-shirt. Like, I think this will be a really good thing to put on maybe over something instead of a cardigan, or just in replace of like a t-shirt and a cardigan. The next work in progress that I want to talk about is the koi cardigan. And I was thinking about this earlier. I was wondering if it is koi or if it is koi, because it is Korean. But I'm not sure. So I'm gonna call it koi for now, and if it is pronounced something else, I'm really sorry. It could be koi, koi, something similar. But I have gotten the most beautiful yarn. I don't remember what color I said I wanted to do it in my last podcast, but I have found this gorgeous purple. I need to go get an actual proper skein. Hold on. Okay, so the yarn I am using is this Cascade fingering yarn. It is this literal gorgeous lavender color. I originally went to the yarn store when I was looking for this project in particular. I had it set in my mind that I was going to get Sandus yarn, but then I saw this underneath it, and I was like, I need this. It is beautiful. It is stunning. It is the epitome of spring, and I really could not be happier with my choice of color and yarn. This is my first time working with Cascade yarn, and I have always heard really good things about it, about not only the like worked up garment used with it, but also the price. And I bought 8 skeins of these, 7 or 8, and it was about $40, which was like mind-blowing to me. So not only did I find the perfect color, this yarn is really lovely, it's affordable, I really like the texture it makes. I think it's, the stitch definition is beautiful. So let me show you first I'll show you my swatch that I made, because it was really, really cute. I am actually so bad. I'm such a bad knitter. I like never make swatches, but for this, since it has not only cables, but a lot of eyelet designs, I really wanted to make sure that I was hitting gauge, because, it's one thing when it's a raglan, like I'm okay if it's a little bit bigger, I'm okay if it's a little bit smaller, but something like this, I felt like I really needed to do a gauge, and so I did, and here it is. It is so cute. It's kind of hard to see, but so when I first did it, I was a little bit worried that I was not going to hit gauge. I believe it is 12 by 10 centimeters, and working it up, I was like, oh, I don't know, this looks like it might be a little bit big, but it actually came out to be completely perfect. So for the yarn that I'm using, it does recommend, I think, a 3-point. So it recommends a 2.25 to a 3.25, so pretty much a 1 whole millimeter difference, but the pattern that I am working on calls for a 3.5. So I was worried that it was going to be, and I still kind of am a little bit worried that the gauge, the like actual fabric is going to be too open. I don't know if you can see. The stitches are they're not loose, I would say, but they do have a bit more space than I originally thought it was going to have. So I'm still a little bit unsure. I think by design, this cardigan is quite airy. It is quite, it does have a lot of eyelid designs in it, so it's not meant to be like a heavier cardigan. So I think I'm going to just keep going with this. I hit the gauge and I don't want to make any more modifications. When I was looking at this, I was like, oh, maybe like I have a pretty on-spot mohair, and I thought, oh, could I, hold it with mohair, but I think it's gonna completely like bury a lot of the smaller details on here, like these little diamond areas. I don't know the best way to show this. The little diamond areas and these, and even the heart, I think it would really kind of cover the heart a lot. So I didn't want to do that, and then holding it double was going to make it too thick. So I'm just going to, again, trust the knitting process. I hit the gauge, and that's what's really important to me. I'm okay if it is a bit of a lighter cardigan because, again, it does have lots of motifs, which I'll show you in my actual work in progress. So there's a lot going on. So it's not meant to be like a thicker fabric. But on to my actual work in progress. So it's kind of a mess right now. So the way you construct this is pretty similar to, I would say, a lot of cardigans these days, or I know especially in the Asian communities, when they make garments, they start in the back, pick up stitches for the front, and then connect everything, and that is no different for this cardigan. So I'm not sure the best way to show this. So this is the back. I'm trying to do this the best way to show it off. So this is the back, and then I have just finished picking up stuff for the very front part of the shoulder, and then I literally, right before recording this, I picked up stuff for the other part of the shoulder. I don't really have anything done, but there we go. So try to show some better version. It's really hard because it's all kind of curled up and like together, and so this is the back neck. So it'll be like this, the back neck, shoulder piece, and another shoulder piece here. And then I will pick up the sleeves and then work it all together until it is time to split for the sleeve, like under the arm. And then I will work back and forth that way without the sleeve. So the construction of this cardigan is pretty self-explanatory. It's easy. There are plenty of charts. There's a chart for the back, there's a chart for the two front pieces, and there is a chart for the sleeve. The chart itself, I think, is very easy. It kind of looks like there's quite a lot going on here, and in the back panel there is quite a lot going on. There are 4 sets of cables in the back. There is a cable here along the shoulder. There is a heart, which is here next to it, and then there is an eyelet little column here, cables, and then there's also, this is like so hard to show, I'm so sorry, like these little diamond motifs too, another cable, another heart, and then another set of cables. So the actual charts are fine. I will say there is no part in the legend. There's not a legend for the cable pieces of the chart. So that was something that I had to go figure out, which was a little bit frustrating. Every other part in the chart has like something on the legend that goes with it, like, okay, increase, yarn over, SSK, knit two together, but the the cables itself, they had it written in the chart, but there was no legend for it. It wasn't on the legend of the chart. So I had to go figure it out. It's not, well, I guess it kind of is a big deal because that's a really big part of the pattern is the cables, because there's two that go straight down the back, and then there's some along the shoulders, and there's also some along the sleeves. So it is quite a big part of this pattern. But other than that, the pattern itself, I mean, it's just a chart, so it's quite simple. I would say the back is definitely the most labor intensive because it does have kind of 5 or 6 different sections, as I'll call it. But the front is quite easier, I see now that I've been working on it. So that is one thing to know if you are interested in this pattern. It is a paid pattern, and that is kind of the only issue I had with it, aside from my own like skill issues, because I had to restart the back probably like 6 or 7 times. Something in my brain was just like not connecting, and I was like, I don't know. How do I do this? I don't know. But then one morning, I don't know what happened. It just kind of clicked, and I was able to do it, and so it's been kind of smooth sailing there. But yeah, those are my 2 work in progresses. As for future plans, I still really want to do the Darling wrap, and I have been trying to search for the perfect yarn for it. So originally I was going to do the Knitting for Olive, I forget if it's Dusty Artichoke, I think it's Dusty Artichoke, the one that is in the book that is recommended for or maybe it's fennel. It's a light green, like a very muted light green color. I was going to do that originally for the wrap, but then I was trying to look for it on like in any of my local yarn stores, and nobody had that color, which is fine, because I can order online. But then something came over me, and I think this is like a theme these last couple months, that I'm just craving for a deep, dark, rich brown. Like, I need it. I thought the yarn for my October sweater was going to be that color, and it wasn't, so I was still thinking about it. And now I believe the color of the year for Pantone is also, I forget their official name they called it, but it is a dark chocolatey brown. And it has just like pushed my desire for this color so hard. And I have been looking everywhere, nonstop, for the perfect brown. And I know I'm being like way, way, way too picky about it, but like, I need it. I need this perfect brown, and I would like my wrap to be this color. So for now, I have not bought a yarn. I am eyeing the Knitting for Olive one. I forget the name of it, but it is a dark brown. I saw it last night when I was looking on their website, so I think I'm going to order it from there. Because I still have the, like, if you, for your first order, you can get free shipping, which is, like, really awesome, so I might do that and save some money, since none of the yarn shops around me have it anyway, and it's cheaper on the website than it is here locally where I can get it. I think it's about $10 to get a ball, and then online it is $7.50 or $7.90 or something similar, and obviously it would be cheaper just to pick it up at the yarn store, but since I have free shipping on the website, I think it'll be cheaper overall. Another contender that I was trying to get from my local yarn shop is another like chocolatey brown, and it was so beautiful. It was literally perfect. Like, it was the exact color that I have been wanting, but they only have 3 skeins, and I can't find it like anywhere. So my heart was broken. I had put it in the cart, and it's my fault because I didn't read, because when I looked back, it definitely said 3 available, but I put 6 in my cart, and then it was like, some things have been removed, and I was like, no, I was so sad. It was the perfect brown ever. So I think I'm gonna still think about it for a little bit and look around to see if I can find something similar to that brown. But I think for now I'm gonna go with the Knitting for Olive one. And I don't remember the name, but I'll pop it somewhere up here along with the color so you can see. But it's not the exact one, but I think it is the closest to what I want. Because a lot of browns that I see these days or come across in my personal searches, in my personal yarn shops around, are just too cool. They're too cool toned, and I don't want that. I want a dark chocolate, like literal dark chocolate color yarn. And I need it, and I want it, and I want it for this darling wrap, and I really hope that I will be able to find it, or I will just purchase the Knitting for Olive color. And I was trying to look through everybody's like projects on the Knitting for Olive Darling Wrap Ravelry page, but no one really used that color, which is cool. That's fine. Like Knitting for Olive has so many colors, but I was trying to see if maybe like my mind would like go away from this chocolate brown color, but no. No, I'm still thinking about it. But I have kind of challenged myself to one, make sure it's the true yarn that I want, and two, not buy it right away. I'm going to think about it some more. There is the North Carolina Fiber Fest coming up in March, so I'm considering waiting until then and seeing what is available there and then making my decision, because I have a feeling that if I go with the Knitting for Olive one, which again I really like. I think it's the closest color that I'm gonna get to what I can find, what I want. But I know for a fact, because this happens to me all the time, I will see an even better chocolate yarn in the Fiberfest, which is okay because I could still get it and still make something out of it, because brown is just like such a good neutral color. I could literally make anything out of it. But I'm trying to really behave myself and not just like settle, because I want this to be, I'm trying to do this with all my knits, but I really want this to be like more meaningful, because I have this habit of just buying things like, oh, that's fine, it'll be okay, and then I don't exactly like the outcome. So I'm trying to be better this year about that, and I think I have done pretty well. The only like color choice that I really wasn't sure about was my October sweater color, but I got that for Christmas, so I didn't spend any money, so you know. But I think that is it for this podcast. It's kind of a short one because I don't really have any finished objects or anything, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed. And if you are making something, I'd love to hear what you're making. You can follow me over on Instagram at Sugar and Yarn. I'll pop it up here for you. Again, trying to be more active over there. I also, they have changed the grid, and it's like a rectangle now, which is so ugly. I assume it's to try to push the real situation, kind of like, I don't have a TikTok, but I know their grid is like more rectangular, so that's what I assume that is. But it just makes everything so ugly. But you can follow me over there if you're interested in more kind of more frequent content. I still think I'm gonna try every 2 weeks for my podcast, and then maybe some other videos sprinkled here and out. I applied for a couple pattern tests, some knitting pattern tests, which I, fingers crossed, maybe get them. This is my first time, this would be my first time pattern testing for knitting. I've done many crochet pattern tests, but I'm really hoping to start pattern testing for knitting now that I feel like my knitting skills have gotten better and I can understand how to read patterns better and problem solve. So hopefully if I do get any of them, I'd like to start kind of vlogging my process, and I'd like to start vlogging my progress, kind of like regardless if it's a test or not. I meant to do it with my Koi cardigan, but I was just like so excited, and then all the trouble I had, I was like, I can't record this. This is too sad. It's too embarrassing. But so hopefully that's my plan, to kind of do the podcast every 2 weeks, and then maybe some intermediate content in between, depending on what I have going on. I would say I'm an okay knitter in terms of speed. I'm not the fastest, but I'm not the slowest. So, yeah, I feel like if I post too much, I'm not gonna have anything to talk about. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. My cat is here. Let me grab him for the outro. Here he is. Cloud is here. Oh, he does not. He just woke up from a nap. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this podcast, feel free to subscribe or follow me on Instagram. And I would love to see you there. And Cloud, say bye.